Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday. What does that mean, Jay?
It is time for another J Talk episode.
Yes, sir. That is correct. And today we'll be talking about the pros and cons of being an indie creator. Before that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Josh.
AKA the
Oh, go
perks
ahead.
of being indie.
Perks of
AKA
being
the perks of being indie.
Yeah. My name is Joshua Harper. I am joined by my esteemed co-host, Jerry One Hero.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out to another week of the J Talk podcast. We greatly appreciate you. I am yours truly, One Hero, alongside JM Dizzy Harper.
JM Dizzy Harper. Awesome. So we got some good stuff to talk about today. First of all, I wanted to say the final issue of the Scott Snyder Capulo came out today, and if you haven't picked it up, I would strongly recommend it. It's really good, really solid art.
And per the words of the writer and the artist, it's a love letter to those that have stayed through every piece and every bit of the new 52 Batman that they've written and created, and it's pretty much a stroll down memory lane as a token of appreciation for all of the support that they've got. And it's a tough one to lose after so long of seeing them do it.
Oh yeah, some people were saying how they deserve to have one of their items like added to the Batman Batcave, like how they have the dinosaur and the penny and whatnot. They had an emblem from the Court of Owls, but I've heard a lot of people talking about putting something in there permanently to represent them. On top of that, though, I gotta say it's really good. It's just a really good chapter, as Jay said. It's a stroll down memory lane. It's really well written, and it's just really well done. Strongly recommend it. It's like they had all the toys out, right? Someone described it perfectly like this. They had Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo. They had all the toys for Batman, and they took them out of the box and they played with them, and they put them back. They put them back in a better way that they took them out of the box. I think that was a really good way of describing it. As someone who's been following it for a while now, that was my experience with it, and I think that's been a lot of people's experience with it. So if you haven't checked it out, strongly recommend it. Probably one of the best Batman runs we've seen and we'll see in a while. So with that out of the way, Jay, our topic today, the perks of being indie. So
yes, sir.
I got my list. We made two lists. Jay and myself each made a list. So do you want me to start with pros and cons? Pros or cons? Which one do you want me to start with? The pros of being indie or the cons of being indie?
Take it away.
All right. Well, let's start with the bad news first. I feel like that's better. So one of the things that I feel is a big con of being an indie creator is basically, like, it sounds really bad, but if you fail, like, it's your fault. Fail as a creator, it's more or less your fault to a degree. Like, for me, if I fail as a creator, it's usually because I didn't write something, or I was too lazy to message someone back to talk about something, or I just didn't want to put the time and invest the time into it. And that's fair. People are busy, so I'm not faulting people for that. But a lot of times, it's like I mismanaged my time. And usually that leads to my own failure, Okay.
Yeah. I mean, people don't realize that success isn't going to come overnight. Becoming a creator isn't going to come overnight. Being a creator is not something that it's owed to you just because you feel you're entitled to that, because you picked up the pencil to draw, you picked up the pencil to write, you grabbed the keyboard to type, you grabbed you got the typewriter and started to type. That's never the case. You have to put in the time for what it is that you want to achieve. So if you start out without any goals, you start out without anything that you want to obtain personally for you, you're already failing. So you need to realize what needs to go into it. You need to realize what actually the grind is about it, and actually be willing to sacrifice, to commit, and to grind, or to put it to the side and quit, because this is no half-time hobby or part-time job kind of thing. For a lot of people, you're putting in your time. Time is more valuable than money. You're putting in money, which is more valuable to some than others. So there's no point to even sit up there and think that it's going to be easy. There's no way it will ever be, because if everything was easy, then everyone would be doing whatever they wanted to. I'm going to be a millionaire. Well, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and be a millionaire. No, millionaires don't just fall into money. They work hard for it. some scheme and go through pyramid schemes and get arrested for it later on, Wolf of Wall Street. But you find a way to make that money. You find a way to make your art. You find a way to become that doctor. You find a way to become that person that holds that PhD. It's not just handed to you. So that's one of the biggest perks of being indie, is that you have that ability to do it all on your own and just learn along the way and treat that as something valuable. But that's also the biggest downfall, is that people don't realize the time that has to go into it, the work that has to go into it. And I'm still learning that every day, and I watch it every day with so many other people. So,
yeah, that's a really good way of putting it, is like no one becomes a doctor overnight. Like med school is like what, 8 years? Like
I'm not sure, I can't really say, but
if everyone put in like the amount, like if I put it, I'll be honest, I think if you or I or pretty much any creator out there put in the hard work for 8 years to get to the point that doctors get to the point of being able to be doctors in med school and whatnot, let's just say it's 8 years. If you put in that same amount of effort, you could, without a doubt, be either indie and successful or non-indie and successful. That mind, like a lot of people fail because they give up, not because, like, basically it's this time, it's a drag, it's tough, it's emotionally draining. So, but having said that, so is being a doctor and working your way towards that, being a lawyer and working your way towards that. So, what are one of your cons?
It'd be marketing. Marketing's one. People don't really understand the value of marketing and how it needs to be done. It's the same thing that I read once where you can go to art class. Yeah, you go to some of these popular art schools, like how Mikhail and Nicholas went to Savannah. They went to the art school in Savannah. You pay all of this money and you go to these art schools, and they teach you how to draw. They teach you how to create. They give you all the things you need to become this fantastic artist, or this great storyteller, or this perfect video game developer, or this perfect social mediaist, or anything like that as far as the creative industry goes. But what happens is they don't teach you about business. They don't teach you the same things that they teach the people in the business schools. That's one of the biggest things that I believe is missing when people sit up there and say, "Oh, don't go to art school, it's a waste of your time." Because you sit in a class or you sit in a place for X amount of time learning how to draw, so you feel like an artist. You feel like you're working for the company already when you aren't. So then in reality, what happens is you step out of that bubble of, oh, I was in a bubble just creating to here's the real world. You're missing something. It's the same thing as when you think about going to college for anything. Yeah, you've been in college for the last 4 or 5 years to get your bachelor's, to become this person. But guess what? You lack the experience. You showed the commitment that you have the knowledge to do it, but there's somebody that was out there in the streets hustling their ass off for the last 4 years, more than you were. And they have the experience. They've learned through trial and error while you've been having everything hand fed to you. So when people talk about, I want to do art, or I want to do this, I want to get to this level, you don't understand that there's a lot more to it. I didn't understand that there was a lot more to it. I wonder why my fan base is so small, why my fan base isn't as strong as those that do succeed on Kickstarter, why there are those that succeed on Patreon. And it's because a lot of times they're doing things that I can't or I have not done. No, I won't say that I can't, that I have not done or haven't pushed myself to do so. AKA going to conventions or just going around and mingling with other people physically to get my art out there is the biggest difference right now for me. And that's my con. That's my fault. I can't build an established fan base off of just pictures and photos. That's why I reached out to YouTube. You know, there's tons of other avenues that you can go to market yourself. You are your own brand. You are your own business. You are your own company. You are your own boss when you're going to go about being an independent person. And a lot of people aren't really cut out for that, and they don't even understand that. They don't even see that.
Yeah. See, I agree with you completely on that part, because I'm not the best at marketing. Part of it is just I have it ingrained in my mind, this is just chapter 1, it's not going to be that big, blah, 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 blah. But I do like I want to go to cons. Like, without a doubt, I'm going to cons. Like, I've talked to White Manga, Tony Saavedra. We all are going to, we all live in Texas. I know Tony Saavedra, he's coming to San Antonio, which is where I live. to go to the Comic-Con. We're gonna link up. We're gonna meet. We're gonna hang out. And I plan on running around that entire convention, hanging out business cards and stuff, talking with people. And it's a huge benefit. People don't realize the city you live in has more than enough people that want to support you. Unless you live at a place where you like population 5,000. There are more than, and even then you might be able to find enough people to support you. There are a lot of people out there that are more than willing to support. I guarantee you, out of how many people are on the planet? Like something like 6 billion people. You can find that the people are out there. You just got to find them, and that's what the marketing does. You know. I will say as well, if you want to sell a comic physical and you want to connect with people that way, going to a local comic store and meeting up with those people and talking to them on a regular basis is really good. I go to a comic store every Wednesday. I talk to the two people that work there, Ellen and John, and sometimes there's a third guy, Bob, there that works. And we'll sit there for 5 minutes, we'll talk. And one time I asked them, they're like, they have a no soliciting rule, right? Well, I mean, in the comic world, that's pretty much your entire business is you heard Joe St. Pierre, you got his book in stores by just calling people and telling them, hey, can I put my book in your store? You know, that's like soliciting is half of what we do. And she said, well, if like most stores really honestly don't care about soliciting if you're a regular. So that's another way you're able to get yourself out there and into physical stores is if you are building a working relationship with those stores. Like that kind of just goes on top of the marketing is if you want to sell yourself, you got to sell yourself offline and online. But all right, so moving on to pros. Let's see. One of my pros is I really like the idea to set your own pace and schedule. While people aren't ever going to agree on what the best uploading schedule or the release schedule is, you are able to set what you feel is best for yours. I think I love that. Like I love being able to set my own schedule. I can set my pace for work. And if I say I want to have this done by then, I'm able to set my schedule. I do it. I'm able to plan that out and say I need to have this done by here and by here. I need this by here. You are able to set your own schedule, set your own timetables to reach those goals. And I think that's much more enjoyable and much more healthy long term as you're able to set goals and you can reach them. It kind of ties back into that is having manageable goals. And sometimes, working at companies, sometimes they'll give you these really rough goals. Writing companies, it's just, I can't have this done by then. They're like, well, tough luck. You got to have it done by then. Sometimes that backfires. Like Jay said, it can be a con sometimes. But most of the time, I've not had many bad times with it. What do you think?
Yeah, if you, that's one of the pros that I had. It's a pro and a con. It's a double-edged sword as far as deadlines go. In reality, you are your own boss, so you set your own time frame. You set your own time schedule. You can make the mistake to keep up with everybody else, keep up with the Joneses with I need to do this, I need to do that. And then that goes into one of my other cons is that not enough people focus on their own lane. And again, that just goes back to realizing that you control everything that you're doing. Nobody else does. Not him, not her, not me, not Josh, not Marvel, not DC, not Image, not Valiant, not Vertigo. Nobody. Not Warner Brothers, not Lionsgate. Nobody controls anything but you independently, which means that all the work that they do is the same work that you get to do. So as far as your timelines go, your deadlines and everything like that, whatever works best for you and what you're creating is what you do. Don't worry about anybody else. There's nothing in this world that's going to say the creative format for this genre that you happen to fall into is going to fall off the face of the earth. Yes, time is money, of course, but if you're producing and you're moving forward at an efficient pace where you're happy, you're content, you're not burning yourself out, and you're not driving yourself to sickness and death, you're perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with taking your time. I made that mistake of jumping out aboard with Infinite. I watched a lot of people make that mistake of just jumping out aboard with something they get quickly inspired, they want to go. And it's like, you do realize you control your own fate. Nobody wakes you up, at the end of the day and say, this is what you have to do. You choose what you want to do. You choose the job that you work. You choose the girl you want to love. You choose the man you want to love. You choose the place you're going to eat. Nobody has control over that. Nobody has control over your life. So don't let the industry that you go into have control over how you present yourself, because if only fools rush in. KO learned that lesson in chapter 2 when he rushed toward a guardian and ended up on his backside, getting crushed to a wall. So a lot of people learn about that. A lot of people just try to see, well, this is what has to be done. Look, I know we talked about the power of fan art, but here's something I really want to get off my chest. Would you rather be remembered for the person that recreated other people's creations, the same way that some people get online and they put all of their life and time into playing Call of Duty, which is someone else's creation that's making them more money? Or would you rather be remembered as a person that's made a stamp on the world in your own way, in your own unique way, being you? Because nobody else is going to remember what you do for some other man's name, for some other woman's name. They're going to remember you for doing what you want to do. So that's the biggest perk of being indie, is that you can be you and you can do for you to be the best you that you can be. So timelines, absolutely. You can set anything you want to do the way you want.
Yeah, the big thing for me is like, I work on a budget with my comic. That's the biggest problem I face, is I work on a budget. And what that means is sometimes I'm not going to be able to, like at some point, I'm not going to be able to make a payment to Ruben. So I'm going to have to say, you know what, we're going to have to take a break from this. We're going to have to slow down production, maybe put the comic on hiatus for a little bit. And I have the freedom to do that. It's nice being able to say, you know what, before this gets out of hand, we're going to shut it down now. Not push it to the very edge, only for it to fall off, So. All right, what's your pro? What's one of your pros? The creative what what you said? You just gave one. Being able to be you.
Yeah, I mean the perks of being indie. Another pro, a really good one, contracts. Speaking on the recent death of Prince, God rest his soul, he never signed a contract after he got his first one, because after, I think, not even his first one, he opened up his own thing. Now, I'm not saying everybody rush out and make their own label or company or gaming company, because again, if you can't even handle things by yourself, you are really not ready to try to handle that. Trust me, you're not. But contracts. So you go work for Marvel, you go work for DC, and they say, hey, this is how much you're going to be getting paid. This is guaranteed, inked in pen. You can't change it. So they sign you on for $5 a page, $20 a page, $50 a page, $100 a page. Sure, they do that. That's your potential income, your potential in general, capped at what they say you do, how you have to do it, and when you have to do it. Whereas if you go independently, you can do something like, I don't know, a lot of the independents that go to Kickstarter that say, well, I realistically need this much, but I'm going to ask for 10 grand. I need 10 grand. $50,000 later, their potential is uncapped because they have nobody over their head. With a contract, you have to deal with, again, deadlines and control. You lose control of being you, of doing what you want to do something. Someone else means late nights for a big issue with that, because again, there are a lot of people in this world that are completely okay with waking up and giving themselves to someone else and not living the life that was destined for them. That's the biggest perk about being indie. And this goes beyond being creative. This just is in general about taking your life back to do what you want to do independently. There's nothing in this world that says you're supposed to follow the American dream plan of go to school. After you go to school, go to college. After college, get married. After you get married, get the job that you went to college for, so that you can pay back that massive amount of debt that you collected. And then eventually later on in your life, you may be able to live it enjoyably. But will you be remembered for the American dream that so many people have followed in your path? No, you won't. You'll be remembered for doing the life that you wanted to do. And it may not be by the millions and millions of people. Yeah, that's a rock reference. But you will be remembered for giving it your all for you. So with contracts, you sign away you being you for someone else. I could never do it. I'm pretty sure I would love to get Infinite backed by a publisher so I can continue it, but I'm going to do the best that I can, because I'd rather try and fail than to never have done it at all. or do it under someone else's thing. My father didn't raise me to bend my knee to any man or woman. Sorry. Perks of being independent.
No, I agree. That was one of my perks and pros was you have way more control. Like you, and it goes kind of hand in hand with like a set schedule is that you are in control no matter what. Like it's kind of like the big, I guess, linchpin of being an indie is that everything kind of falls back on you, but that gives you so much more control. It's just more freedom. Like I like the idea of being able to like. Here's the thing: is like I like the idea of I can say, you know what, I'm gonna stay up late at night, write my stories, go to bed, wake up at like 12 o'clock the next day. Perfect schedule for me. That's my dream schedule. You can't do that if you work in an office. You can't do that if you're working for a company because the deadlines usually aren't as forgiving. Their deadlines are much more stricter from what I've seen. You know, and again, this is I kind of broke the control and profit up into two things. Is that your money is capped at a company. Admittedly, if you write stuff and you're probably able to eventually renegotiate, you can assume you stay on long enough. If you're an artist, you're probably able to renegotiate. Having said that, when the money goes directly through you, you know exactly how much you need to spend, how much you are losing, how much you're gaining, like all your costs and your profit, and you're able to balance all that out, and you make more money in the long run, assuming that you're just if you were to be just another successful creator that creates, say, comics, for instance. I mean, and you sell as many comics as this recent Batman, you as a creator will make more money than Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, just by virtue of their money has to go through a corporate entity. It has to be funneled. They have so much more overhead that they have to cover. They're a big corporate entity. When it's just you and another person making a comic, there's much more cash. You know, there's a much freer cash flow. It's not as constrained to I have to pay this person and this person, this person, this person. Like chapter 1 of Dizzy, I had two big costs. I had Ruben and I had Cameron. Cameron did the cover art. Ruben does the pages. That's it. Those are my two big costs. If I wanted to do marketing, I could do that. If I wanted to do color pages, contact a colorist and get that. But I have complete and utter control over what gets done and how like it's maintained and managed and what I want done specifically. So I agree completely. Like it's much better, I feel like, to have that kind of control. And companies like Image and Dark Horse, all the indie stuff, they'll give you that creative control for the most part. You know, honestly, they don't care. If you come to them with a product that you're constantly creating and it sells, they don't give a crap. So long as you get to them on time. Obviously you still have to deal with the profit splits and stuff, but you still have that creative freedom. So, a con that I think is probably the biggest killer though for indies. This is my thing. This is what I think is the biggest killer. Probably the hardest, the most emotionally draining part of it is that there is a steep learning curve. I mean, it's like a freaking cliff. Jay, what is it? What do you think it is? You think it's steep?
The learning curve comes with the want to do it. Mm-hmm. You know, the more you want to do it, the more you'll learn. The reason why is because that's the more that you'll fail. If you're scared and you never take the risk, or you follow somebody else's footpath and in their shoes, you're constantly going to be following something that's a horrible trend. You're never going to really experience things for yourself. It's like if you want to fight fire with fire, but you don't know what fire is, you're going to lose to the fire every time. Whereas the more you just experiment and, find yourself. Again, this is the perks of being independent is, like I said, again, it goes back to finding yourself and staying in your lane and realizing what you're capable of and that you can do what anybody else can do, but do it at your pace, on your terms. The minute you learn that, you'll really open up yourself to start learning more and gaining more experience in the learning curve. I don't know much about conventions. All I know is hearsay, and if I never go and experience it myself, whether it's going as a person trying to sell my stuff or a person that's trying to see how the crowd is, I'm never going to learn from myself. If I had to take lessons out of a book from what somebody else experienced, that's malarkey, because I'm not learning from myself. I'm not experiencing things myself. I know what failure feels like as far as life goes because I've been at the rock bottom, but I fought myself back out of it to be back at the top, or to get there, to be on my way there. And that's because I chose to learn my way. I didn't let my father, I didn't let my sister, I didn't let anyone baby me or usher me into being an adult. I fell, I fought, I scratched myself, I scraped, I fell down, I got back up. So the same thing from life will apply to you as far as you go on this journey to learn. Because you're never ever going to learn if you just sit there and think somebody on YouTube is going to tell you. You know, in reality, me and Josh probably could get just as good as the people that draw our stuff if we learned and failed in that manner like they did, to take 10 years of drawing, you know, to instead of saying, oh, well, I can't right now. Yes, right now you can't. But are you drawing once a day to at least attempt, to at least fail, to learn what you did wrong? No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, for me, I think the learning curve is just so hard because no one has walked your shoes, like you said. No one's been in your shoes. And there's not really a manual on how to do it. People can tell you, like, webcomic, you know, I schedule my webcomics like this. Or I schedule, you know, I do this. This is how I do this. And that's cool. But what works for you doesn't work for someone else half the time. You know? There's no manual on it. It's just kind of learn as you go. You kind of get thrust into it, and that's kind of it. You know? And honestly, one of the things that really helps with that is being a community. Jay, you got your plug ready?
Oh, I had to find a outlet.
Jay.
I had to find an outlet for my plug. Hold on. Barrage. Yeah. It can help being a part of a community as long as you share the same interest and passion of the community. If you join a community where there is no direction, or there's one direction but it's not the one for you, don't go that route. You don't need people to be around. You have a choice to wanting people to be around, because you never know the wonders that can happen, you know, because there are a lot of people that just think that they got it by themselves. My sister, for an example, is a very strong, bullheaded woman, very strong, independent, strong-headed, just downright, I got this, I don't need your help. But there have been few times where in her own music, I've said, sis, does that sound right? Sis, does that look right? Sis, that doesn't sound good. Maybe you should change that. Change it to this. And then she'll go, what? 2 hours later, bro, man, thank you so much. I didn't even see that. You know, that's another thing. You want to talk about community? I simply hate for the fact that so many independent people out here don't realize that Superman needed the Justice League to do some stuff, mythologically speaking. But one mind, sure. 2 minds is better than one. I'm sorry. If you're fortunate enough as being independent as we're supposed to be, find a group of other independent people that are on the same mission as you, that are doing the exact same thing. You'd be a fool not to. Oh, I'm sorry, Josh, I'm drowning and you're drowning and there's a boat. I'm going to just push you to the side and swim for the boat. When, oh, wait, 2 people could actually probably float better than one. So let's get together and swim to this boat. Or, hey, we're in this barrel together. Oh, well, I want to get out before you, so I'm going to keep pushing you down to jump up. When in reality, the 16 people below me could have banded together, and we could have made a chain and grabbed each other out one by one. So I am sick of it. It annoys me that people do not actually utilize the fact that if all of these independent people came together and said, we are the independent coalition, we're here to take over for Hollywood and give you guys original content for once. Sorry, we put all of our money, all of our resources, all of our time together. Boom. The only real reason why it will never work is because we are all very independent. We are all very unique. We are all very different, but we all have the same common goal in mind. So if we can get past our differences, as in, oh, look, I'm black and Josh is white, and we get along just fine. When, 100 years ago, that wouldn't have been the same. But if we manage to do it, and there are tons of other people that manage to get along and get stuff done, that is a very important thing that I think could be an extreme boost in productivity for someone, because you have a home, a creative home. There are tons of ideas, tons of things you want to get out of your head. You want to get out of your mind. You want to get off your chest, and you can't talk to regular people about it because they want to be in line for the next pair of Jordans that are coming out. They want to be at the next concert screaming at Jay-Z. They want to be doing this and doing that and following this person and following that person. Oh my God, Spider-Man is in Civil War. Yes, we know. I'm sorry, they spoiled it already. Good job. When there's a lot more that could be going on, that you can be enhanced 10 times fold, being a part of a community or just opening your mind up to the different options. Break your creative limit. Flight number 3. One hero. That's my plug.
No, but yeah, that's I agree with that. That's part of the learning curve, is that you're learning to interact with people. I mean, even freaking Nicholas and Mikhail. Some people, you know, I probably our most popular podcast and very popular people. They don't do it alone. You heard them. Even at the very least, they said they talk to themselves all the time. So what's a
No, you know what? No, Josh, I'm not gonna let you say that. They are very two independent people. They are. You know, they limit themselves in so many ways where they could probably improve themselves too. Nobody's excluded from this. Nobody. Not Joe St. Pierre, of all people, is more established than anybody we've had on this podcast, and yet we helped him learn something.
Mm-hmm.
We helped him learn something within the span of an hour that we spent with him. There are tons of people out there that can learn. White Manga, he can learn a lot from us. He can learn a lot from anybody. He chooses not to. There are tons of us. You, at one point, did not want to listen. I, myself, at one point, didn't want to listen. I didn't want to hear what anybody had to say. And there are tons of our other friends that did not want to hear what we had to say, what anyone had to say. Nobody wants to hear. They're going to get defensive and think that it's criticism. When it's constructive criticism, it's a choice to help you out. I don't need to. I want to, because nobody did it for me. So if I don't open my mouth, nobody will. And if I got to watch somebody fall when I could have helped, I'd rather get shut down by them for trying to help than to not do so at all. So no, there is no one excluded. There are too many independent people out there that got the mouth to say whatever they want, how they want, because they think they can do it on their own. Well, if that's the case, then go make a new world by yourself and see how easy that is. Make an empire by yourself and see how easy that is. Stan Lee didn't do it alone. Jay-Z didn't do it alone. Bill Gates didn't do it alone. Steve Jobs didn't do it alone. There's always somebody that's behind you helping when you don't even notice or don't even see it.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. So what's another con of yours?
Fan base.
Fan base?
Fan base. It's a con because in reality, people will focus on the audience. There's such a learning curve to that alone. That's a part of the learning curve that Josh has been talking about. The learning curve. You come into this, whatever it is that you do, whether it's a clothing line, video game, whatever, you come in like, this is what I want to do. I'm going to do it. The part you mess up on is when you say, I have to make sure people like it. No. When Halo was made, they made it because they really enjoyed the idea of a sci-fi shooter following John, the Master Chief, and Cortana. They did not say, we need to make this. What sold it was multiplayer, but what made people love it and buy collector's edition upon collector edition and show up at every tournament possible was because they fell in love with someone else's idea. It just so happened to be a really big freaking hit for the Xbox. They didn't set out saying we need to make something like that. You want to know who failed and who's failing right now? Activision with Call of Duty. Call of Duty 1, 2, 3, and then Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 were things that they wanted to make. Modern Warfare 2 was the last one that they made, that they wanted to make. Black Ops, World at War. Now you look at what they're doing now, and they're just sandbagging you with what they think the people want. Easy kills, kill streaks out the wazoo, and the same old every day. They're failing themselves as creators, but they're making up for it by being rewarded. So your audience is only a myth to you thinking that everyone is going to be in love with what you have to create or what you want. What you should be doing and what should happen is this. You go out and you create for you. And if just so happen it ends up being a hit, enjoy for the fact that there's one person, or whether there's a million people that happen to like what you have to say. But at the end of the day, Your fan base, you are your biggest fan. You love your work. You love you. Nobody else will love you better than you. And if people come along that end up loving you the same level, enjoy it. Don't ask for more. Don't be pissed at less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you said it all. I agree. So the final one for me, this is a pro. And I feel like this is probably my favorite part, is that the idea of creative freedom is that I can do whatever I want. If you've noticed, I might be a little bit power mad with my pros and cons, but my idea is that the creative freedom that comes with being indie is just insane. Like, I love it. I love being able to say, this is what I want to write about, so I'm going to write about it. I know my strengths and weaknesses. I don't like to write that. I don't write things I don't like to write. I'm not good at. I write what I want to write. And that's that. That's plain. I can put whatever I want in that story. And I talk to people and be like, hey, what do you think of this idea? Sometimes they'll say, no, I'm not feeling it. Sometimes they'll say, yeah, really like that. And I build off of that. At the end, I get to create. And I think that's probably my favorite part of being an independent creator, is that I get to do literally whatever.
Whatever idea you come up with, whatever freaking murder scene you have in your head, whatever relationship style you want to convey, whatever it is that makes you get to express it to the full capability without one person giving you inhibitors or putting a limit on it. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't say this. How dare you do that? It's like, no, I can do it. If you don't like it, I do sincerely apologize. You can take this idea that you fell in love with and make it better. But this is how I wanted to creatively express myself. This is my visual vlog. I'm sorry. This is my visual blog. This is me. This is my visual diary. These are my stories. These are my thoughts, my ideas. Sorry, that's it. You have to be unapologetically yourself when creating. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing at all. You get to truly create with your freedom. You want to talk about race? Go ahead. You want to talk about LGBT? Go right ahead. You want to talk about how you feel toward death? Go right ahead. You want to talk about politics? Go right ahead. But again, that goes back to the fan base. Don't get mad if people don't like it. Create for you. Create for you. Don't push your ideals on someone. Don't push your information, your story on someone. Just make it for you. And if people like it, they like it. If they don't, you keep on trucking.
Mm-hmm. Just like
sucker punch.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, if you enjoy what you're creating and you're finding fulfillment in it, don't let it could be the worst comic ever. But if you're enjoying it, you're not feeling burnt out or anything, why is there a reason to stop? Why would you stop? You're enjoying it. You're having fun. That's really what we're all here to do, is to create and have fun. Really, at the end of the day, we're getting fulfillment out of this. We wouldn't be here not if we weren't getting fulfillment out of this. And if you're getting fulfillment, then don't let anyone tell you no. All right. What's your final pro, Jay? Jay?
I've covered all of mine, good sir.
Oh, you did? Is that it? Are we all done? All right, fair enough. You know what? That's a good one to end on, is the creative freedom. You know why, Jay?
Because we have the freedom to do so.
Exactly. We have the creative freedom to say, you know what? That's it. All right. So, what did we learn today, Jay?
Be you, create for you. The only person that controls anything is you.
Mm-hmm. Don't waste that talent.
Life, creativity, whatever it is. It's all you.
Mm-hmm. Find happiness and fulfillment in it.
Mm-hmm.
Lord knows money's going to be hard to come by.
Because if you didn't know by now, you know now. Greatness lives within.
Boom. Hey, that was a perfect plug for that. All right. I think we'll wind down there. My name is Joshua Harper. It's been a wonderful week talking with you, Jay. Just yet another great podcast. What is it? I always forget. What is it, 13, I think? Is this 13?
Try again.
Is it 14?
What do you think, Josh?
My name is
I need
Joshua
to know
Hart.
this now. I need to know this now. What number do you think it is?
I thought it was 13.
You thought it was 13.
I thought it was 13. I thought last week was 12.
Okay.
Like,
It's 13, Josh.
is it 13?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, good. I'm not crazy.
You have the creative freedom to know that. No one's stopping you but you.
It's very true. My name is Joshua Harper, joined as always by the esteemed Jerry One Hero.
Thank you guys for coming out again. We do appreciate it. Thank you to the one person watching. We appreciate you. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah,
And
I hope you good.
Greatness lives with him.
Greatness lives within. Yeah. Thank you for coming out this week. We'll see you folks next week. Have a good day.
Peace.